Welcome back to RBN, the RacinBoys Broadcasting Network. I'm Scott Traylor along with Kirk Elliott. We're in the McCarthy Auto Group studio where Daniel Hemric joins us now after running 18th last week in the Open. Daniel, how you doing?
I'm doing well, guys. Hope you all are doing the same.
Well, you know, if Mother Nature would just work with us a little bit back here in the Midwest, it'd be a little bit better for us. But
yeah, it's I see you guys had a tough time with out there. My wife's out in the Oklahoma area, so we've had to do a lot of checking in over the last 2 days and keep up with the weather, make sure everybody's safe and sound, and hopefully everybody that's been affected is moving on and getting through it, and we're thinking about them.
Yeah, no doubt. Oklahoma's really taking it tough. We're here in Kansas City, so it hadn't been quite that bad for us here. But, boy, if Mother Nature would just work with us so we can get some racing in around the Midwest. Hey, Daniel, talk about the Open last week. I know 18th isn't what you were hoping for, but what'd you think of that package they ran there?
Yeah, the package had some promise. You know, there's so much throttle on time with our entire 2019 rules package that that you have to find the little things that your car will do better than others. And I thought the package we ran, particularly in the Open and the All-Star, with the different splitter structure and the different aero pan in the nose. I mean, it may give you a little bit more opportunity to pass and run directly behind the guy, but it's still tough, man. It's hard to beat downforce, and when you're by yourself, you know, the cars make a lot. As soon as they're tucked up behind somebody, majority of the field just really struggles to make front grip, and that's probably what have struggled the most with out of RCR and our cars. But man, we can build fast ones. I was happy with the speed we had in our Bass Pro Shop Caterpillar Camaro ZL1, and you know, sitting on the pole for the Open, and thought we had a good shot to win there the first stage. You know, led pretty much what we did. We led every lap up until a caution came out with 5 to go, and the guys with tires came and got us. And then by the time we cycled out on our next pit stop in stage 2, we just got caught up in some carnage that really ended our day. And you know, it's one of those deals where we know what we did right, we know what we did wrong, and look forward to going back this weekend for the 600 and trying to make it a little bit better and take the most of the weekend.
If there was one thing that you would say that's the most difficult with this package, is it the aero? Is it the lack of horsepower, running flat out, matted to the floor, trying to keep the momentum up? What would you say was the number one thing that, if you were keen for a day of NASCAR, that you'd like to maybe get a better feel at?
Oh, without a doubt, would be figure out the aero side of it. The aero has been horrendous from single car to traffic. That's why, you know, from the racing side of it, you see a lot of comers. You know, you can be literally than even a lap car, and you catch them if they just so happen to turn in. You know, even if they're 5 car lengths out in front of you, you know, the balance trend has been that your car will go dead straight. You may as well take the front tires off of it. You just go completely straight. So that's been something that as a company we've had to focus more on. As a sport, everybody's fighting it. It's just a matter of one of those things where you hope you can fight it less than the other guy. That's the guy that's going to prevail. So yeah. If I could target one thing, it'd be trying to figure out how to chase that unicorn to get the feel back in traffic for his cars. But I don't know what that is, and that's why it's not my job.
You're right, and when you're pushing the nose like that, there's nothing worse that kills horsepower than a car that's pushing, right?
Well, that's exactly right. I mean, obviously we're confined with this thing called the outside wall, and you have to lift before you knock it down. Yep. And when you lift, and obviously it just kills the engine and kills the RPM and the momentum. So just one of those things you try to be as dedicated to your plan and as disciplined in making your moves, but it's also go time all the time with the way everybody has to run so hard every lap. So it just it can be very frustrating at times when you're really fighting it, and it can be very rewarding whenever you somewhat hit it a little better than the other guys. So we've been on both sides of that this year, and hopefully we can continue to be on the right side of it.
What's it like driving for Richard Childress?
Oh, Richard's an unbelievable guy that I'm extremely humbled and fortunate to call a boss. You know, I grew up a big Dale Earnhardt Sr. fan, being from the same hometown of Kannapolis, North Carolina, and Richard and Dale, right? They were the dynamic duo from a team and driver standpoint that I always pulled for, and that was the pinnacle of our sport. So, you know, to now be able to call that guy my boss and have all of his wisdom and all of his views of from a way higher mountain. He's been through it all, so I can go to him for anything I need, for advice or guidance, and it's really made a difference in not only my not only in my career choice of life, but my personal life. He's a stand-up individual that my opinion, stands for all the right things, and it's incredible to have him as close to me as I do.
You know, we're in Kansas City, and we just had the race here at Kansas Speedway. Your thoughts about that racetrack and your weekend at Kansas?
You know, I thought Kansas, for us in particular, was going to be a solid week. You know, we were, as a company, first off, you know, we had all 4 cars at one point inside the top, I think 13 or 14. Unfortunately, myself and Austin Dillon got trapped with a very untimely caution there with about 100, or really about 70 or 80 to go. That caught both of us 2 laps down because the whole pit cycle hadn't cycled through yet. But it did work out for one of our cars, and Tyler Reddick. You know, he was making his second Cup start and doing it at Kansas, and ended up finishing ninth. So that was a big day for him and that team for all that RCR put into his program to get him there, and cool to see it pay off. And the racetrack itself, you know, Kansas, because of the grip, because of a night race, I think it probably allowed the package to be the best show that it was meant to be whenever we implemented this package. You know, a lot of throttle on time, a lot of cars really close, races side by side, and made for an entertaining show, especially once I got to go back and watch it from the television side. So I thought it was a home run from the racetrack and package side.
You had a really good run at Talladega, 5th place finish. You had to be excited about that.
Yeah, that was a day we needed as a race team. You know, from all my guys in this 8 team, which were the 31 until leading into this year. You know, they've been grinding it out for the last couple of years and haven't had a ton of success to be pumped up about. And you know, we had a couple of good showings earlier in the year, just didn't have any results. And to go to Talladega to kind of dot all the I's, cross all the T's, and put ourselves in contention and finish 5th. You know, that was obviously a career day for me and a day for this race team that we felt like that we needed to kind of get us back on the right foot. Hopefully made the most of it, and look forward to going back and giving it another shot.
All right, this big weekend coming up, what do you think about your chances having a good run, and what are your goals for this weekend?
You know, I think our chances of, you know, unloading with a really fast race car, you know, that's what I expect. I have no reason to believe anything different than that. I think myself and Austin Dillon, our 2 cars have a chance to qualify, if not near the front row, at least inside the top 5 to 6 for the Coke 600, which is something to be proud of. And luckily we get a race day practice where we can work on our race balance, and that's where we got to really put our heads together. That's where we got to make sure we get our balance right for the hot conditions that we're going to be under. And you know, I think if we can go long haul 600 miles, you know, you got to do that first and foremost. Try to get a lead lap finish, and if we're there and we're in that situation, we'll have a shot to run top 10. A top 15 at this point for us in a year would be great. That's what we got to do, but a top 10 is what we're striving for, and if we'll take anything from then on out, and just going to be so cool to be racing at home. You know, Charlotte Motor Speedway is so special to me from growing up, you know, 10, 15 miles away to being on the grandstand side of things to now being able to race in that race is pretty humbling. So look forward to our chances, and hopefully we can live up to what we expect.
Before I let you go, I got to ask you, your wife's from Oklahoma, and we're thinking about all the people in Oklahoma right now that are watching on RBN, the RacinBoys Broadcasting Network. But was she an open-wheel fan? You know, a lot of open-wheel drivers come from the Oklahoma area. The Chili Bowl's there. We broadcast the Chili Bowl. Was she a motorsports fan before she met you?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. You know, we met racing, obviously, and you know, she was running micro sprints when we first met. So yeah, she's very, you know, open and been involved with the open wheel racing side of things. Yep. Really kind of turned me into a fan because North Carolina, we just didn't have a lot of it unless you were tour type modified racing. And right. Believe it or not, a lot of people don't know Christopher Bell actually, Kenzie's dad, Darren Rustin, was the first person Christopher Bell ever drove for.
Oh wow,
so that's a pretty cool little tie back to the open wheel world that a lot of people don't know, and because of that, we've all become pretty good friends over the last couple of years, and yeah, open wheel racing's got a special place for both of us.
Oh man, that's awesome. It's great to hear that. That's a little nugget I did not know, so I'll write that down in my notes for our broadcast with the Chili Bowl. Daniel, thanks so much for taking the time with us here on RacinBoys. We appreciate it. Be safe this weekend. Have a great run, and good luck the rest of the year.